The Exmortis won. Mankind is broken, and the last thing standing between them and total domination is you. Exmortis 3 is the blood-soaked finale of one of the most chilling indie horror trilogies ever created. An end times fever dream told in ruin, gunfire, and guilt. Ever since I covered the first two Exmortis games, I've had tons of comments asking when I'd finally close the loop, and today we're doing just that. So if you've been waiting, this one's for you. If you're new to the series, Exmortis is a cult flash horror trilogy created by Australian developer Ben Lafleur, starting all the way back in 2004. At first, they look like simple point-and-click games, but what starts as a haunted house mystery quickly unfolds into something far bigger. A demonic prophecy, a secret cult, and a supernatural war that brings about the end of the world. Over the course of the series, you're not just exploring creepy houses, you're unraveling ancient lore, deciphering occult texts, and trying to survive a world already lost into the darkness. They're gritty, atmospheric, and way more emotional than you'd expect. And if you've never played them, they might just be some of the best horror games the early internet ever gave us. Where Exmortis 1 and 2 trapped you in claustrophobic spaces, mysterious forests, creaking mansions, and ruined shelters, Exmortis 3 blows the world wide open. Instead of a few haunted rooms and puzzles, this time you're navigating an entire city. Humanity is all but gone, the sky is bleeding, and your mission isn't just to survive, it's to stop the Exmortis from consuming what's left of the world. And the gameplay reflects that scale. This isn't just a point-and-click horror game anymore. You have a health bar, inventory system, real-time combat. There's guns, soldiers, and for the first time, you fight back. But what really sets Exmortis 3 apart is how it embraces supernatural powers. Early on, you're granted telekinesis, psychic abilities that let you manipulate the world around you. You can teleport, solve environmental puzzles, even hurl objects with your mind. And as the game unfolds, those powers grow. There's also a full morality system baked into the story. Throughout the game, your choices push you toward good or evil, altering how others treat you, how certain events play out, and ultimately how the world remembers you. So yes, on the surface this looks and plays nothing like the original games, but underneath all that design, Exmortis 3 still carries the same haunted soul. The atmosphere, the writing, the weight of the world ending. It's all still here.
Consider it a reward for the role you have played in cementing my rule over this world.
Long before humanity, or anything we'd recognize as life, existence, the Earth realm was ruled by chaos. It wasn't forests and rivers, it was something darker. Twisted creatures roamed freely, bound by no order, no law and no reason, just violence and survival. Among those beings was a higher class of sentient entities known as the Ancients, creatures so powerful they existed outside of time, death, and reality itself. They weren't just rulers, they were forces of nature, and their hunger for power was endless. Eventually, the Ancients turned their domination inward, fighting among themselves until only 3 were left standing: Kfafta, the Merciless, Azrael, the Tactician, and Vlaew, the Manipulator. These weren't just names, they were gods of destruction, warring across a shattered realm of the right to control everything that existed. And in the end, Vlaew won. Through betrayal and brute force, he crushed his rivals and crowned himself king over a broken world. But his reign didn't last. Vlaew saw himself as untouchable, elevated to something close to godhood, but his ignorance became his weakness. A group of lesser demons, desperate to reclaim their world, discovered a way to strip him of his physical form. They couldn't kill him, but they could banish him. Vlaew was sealed away into a dimension known as the spirit world, a crimson limbo where his influence was severed from Earth. For a time, the world was free. As the ages passed, this cycle continued. Demonic empires would rise, only to collapse and be cast into the spirit world, just like Vlaew before them. But something strange started happening. These exiled forces, they didn't just vanish, they started to merge. Over time, their power fused with Vlaew's disembodied essence, creating a single overwhelming force, a collective entity known only as the Exmortis. The Exmortis had no physical form, no way to affect the Earth realm directly, but they waited and they watched, because the rise of mankind would offer something the demons had never seen before, a way back. When the time came, it was the Hand, a cult devoted to Vlaew. They opened the door. They released a plague upon the Earth unlike anything humanity had ever faced, and just like that, the Exmortis returned. Wave after wave of corrupted creatures poured across the land, wiping out everything in their path. Civilization collapsed. This was the end, or it should have been. But someone stood up. a man, known only as the Redeemer, was chosen by a mysterious figure called the Shadow Man. His mission was clear: stop the Exmortis, no matter the cost. He succeeded, but not without sacrifice. In giving everything to sever the link between worlds, the Redeemer's soul became trapped in the spirit realm. His body gone, his faith all that remained. But it worked. The Exmortis were cast out, and humanity survived. Barely. Vlaew was the only one left. In a final act of betrayal, he struck down the Redeemer, reclaiming Earth for himself and rising once again, to rule over what was left of mankind. But legends don't die quietly, and the Redeemer wasn't finished. It begins with fire, a blinding flash, a roar, then silence, nuclear silence. And through that silence, something stirs. You've been here before. Not in this crater, not in this moment, but in this fight. The man crawling out of the ash is Mr. Hane, the same man we followed through the ruins of the Exmortis outbreak in the last game. Only now he's not the same. Power thrums under his skin, twisted and ancient. It isn't natural, but it's his now. Upon the wings of fire and devastation, I return, reborn into a world I once knew. You don't remember how you survived, you don't know what changed you, but something did, and now you're more than human, and maybe less. But I promise this: I will have my revenge upon Vlaew, and my people will taste freedom once again. You climb from the crater and face what's left of Broughton City, a city that looks more like a warning than a place. The world is gone, but you're still here, and that means the fight isn't over. On the roadside, 2 staffs jut from the ground, ritualistic, like offerings or graves. You approach the left. I remember the endless prison, a crimson prison without bars, removed from my world, flung into limbo, condemned to roam, forever alone. Vlaew is still out there, and so are you. You find them just beyond the crater, 3 torches, half buried in ash, rough symbols, quiet humming. They don't belong here. One burns with energy, one holds back hate, one whispers vengeance. You don't know how they work, but your hands do. As each one responds, the torches around them come alive. A pit opens. You place the cubes, power, hatred, vengeance, one at a time, each fitting into place like it's been waiting. Then the light changes, chains rise from the pit, and you meet Azrael. One of Vlaew's brothers, an ancient, what's left of him. He doesn't attack, he watches, speaks, and in the end, he gives you something, a piece of himself. Telekinesis. You can walk away, or end him. Either way, his part is over. Yours isn't. Azrael was never dead, not exactly. The ancients were bound together, different in will, but not in essence. To destroy one would weaken the others, so Vlaew didn't kill him. He chained him, left him in limbo, an eternal prison with no walls, no end. That's where Hane finds him. Azrael doesn't beg, he offers something, power. A chance to strike back at Vlaew, not out of mercy, but out of spite. The ritual is short, silent, and when it's done, Azrael had one request: end it. Hane can choose, walk away or throw him into the fire. If you've been enjoying these videos, especially the Exmortis series, now's a good time to stick around. The channel's getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is wild to even say out loud. And even if you've made it this far into the video, you're probably exactly the kind of person I'm making this for. So if you want to see more forgotten horror, maybe games that never got their due, and more deep dives like this one, hit subscribe. There's always another story in the vault. You return to the edge of the city. The same broken sign still leans in the dirt, faded and barely standing. But something's changed. Perception. It hits you like a shift in light. You see more now, not with your eyes, but with something else. You don't know where it comes from, but it's yours now. You move deeper in. A wrecked car sits by the road, inside what's left of a driver. His wallet, his keys, a map tucked in the glove box. The second you take it, something in you clicks. Teleportation. It doesn't make the city feel safer, it's just smaller. A half-collapsed building reads Market City in rusted metal letters. Inside, the air is still. You find some batteries left behind on the counter. The register's sealed with a keypad. You don't have the code for it yet, though. You move on. Down a narrow path, the rope swings in the wind, barely hanging on. Further in, behind a cracked wall, you find an old kiln. Next to it's a fire poker, it's still intact. Inside, there's a pile of skulls. One has a gold tooth. You take what you can and head back outside. Inside the apartment, time feels stuck. Shelves tipped, air still, nothing left but scrapes and signals. You spot a post-it stuck on a broken shelf. There's nothing on it but letters and numbers, but it feels like something important someone wanted to leave. Below it, a first aid kit, still sealed, still useful if things go wrong later. Across the room, there's a hole in the wall. Someone shoved a note into the gap, aimed at someone named Jim. If you're alive and reading this, I moved the package to room 13. We're going to send these things back to hell. Tucker. The handwriting's rushed, like whoever wrote it didn't expect to survive. On the far side of the counter, a radio. We can slot the batteries in and it hums to life. Below that, there's a fire extinguisher, heavy and still charged. You gather what you can and leave the room behind. There's a panel that controls a locked gate at the front counter. The wiring is old, burnt in places, barely holding together. You can take your time and eventually the gate unlocks. Behind it, a single room key. BA Apartments, room 23. We take it and move on. We climb the stairs, the first level's sealed. It won't move, not even with force. We keep heading up. We open room 23. Inside, it's dark. You pull the curtains open, dust shifts in the light. There's paperwork scattered across the room, letters, printer slips. The letter to Michael is from a resistance member, someone still holding on, writing from the ruins of Broughton City. They start off awkward, almost embarrassed to be writing. They're hoping things are quiet in Hobbs Junction. So far, it sounds like the Shadow Man's followers haven't moved into that area, and they're praying Michael and Connie are still safe. The writer says they've taken shelter in an old safe house with a guy named Drake. From there, they've been watching the main road through the city, trying to track any movement from the regime's forces. They're still fighting, just barely. But what sticks is how isolated they sound. They say the only people they've seen lately are scavengers, and they make it real clear not everyone out here is resistance. Not everyone is loyal to Vlaew either. Most of the survivors out here, they're just trying to make it to the next day. The last line is a warning. If Michael runs into a scavenger, don't assume they're a friend. The back half of the letter is worse. Whoever wrote this isn't just trying to stay alive anymore. They're watching everything fall apart. They talk about the scavengers again, how you can't trust them. They'll kill you the second they feel threatened. Some even turning to cannibalism just to survive. The writer asks the same thing we've all been thinking. What happened to us? They say that Exmortis' presence had twisted the world beyond recognition. That the Shadow Man's influence is still spreading, widening like a sickness across the land, creeping toward the center of his dominion. And every day, there are fewer of them left. The resistance is still passing messages, quietly, word of mouth, but each time one speaks, another disappears. Even so, the letter ends with resolve. They know they're outnumbered, they know they're hunted, but they still believe Vlaew can be stopped, that even a few of them hold the line, the fight won't be for nothing. The window doesn't open, you break it, extinguisher or force, it doesn't matter. You anchor the rope and drop down to room 13. You land with tension. There's a beeping, wire on the floor, a detonator in the corner, an explosive pack tucked behind the boxes. You don't need instructions, you know what this is. It's been armed, and it's counting down. You move fast, open the case, confirmation, the clock's already ticking. No time. You grab what you can and move toward the door. On the ground nearby, there's a rifle and a scope. At the end of the hall on a door, there's a body that's hanging, suspended by a cable. You snap the cable and move on. Then you see it, far off in the distance, a tall building. Flashes from the balcony, you're being shot at. Above that, Vlaew stands watching, smiling, and then walks away. The sniper's below him, one floor down, easy to miss, unless you watch for the muzzle. You line up the shot, the scope is slow, the rifle's old. You take it anyway. If you hit, he drops. If not, you reload and try again. Either way, time is burning. The final stop is a locked gate. You plant the explosive, wire it, and back away, just far enough. One press of the detonator and the blast clears the path. You step through the smoke, through the opening, and drop into the subway. And then the sky lights up. Another flash, another roar, another silence. You take the escalator down. Somewhere in the dark, you hear a child crying. You know that voice. It's hers. At the base of the escalator, the corridor opens up. A blood trail leads forward, pulling near a toppled gas can. You grab it. Further up the concourse, past some broken gates, a green hose is still attached to an old machine, like someone already tried to siphon from it. You take that too. At the end of the hall, the ticket master's office is still intact. Inside, a corpse slumps near the desk. It's been there a while. But next to him, a fan belt, random but useful. A maintenance key is tucked near the top corner of a map. Two computers sit nearby, one completely fried, the other dead but not damaged, just waiting on power. Back out in the hallway, a door opens with the key. Inside is your daughter. You reach for her and she vanishes, gone. At the end of the corridor, you find the power room. 2 generators, one empty, the other's full. You set the gas can down between them, rig the siphon hose, and transfer the fuel. Once the can's full, you dump it into the main generator. Power kicks back on with a low hum. But it's not enough. The light stays red. You open the control panel. The routing system's fried. It needs manual configuration. You get to work. Match the nodes, align the power rings. It takes time. A lot. Eventually, green. Power's back. You return to the computer. This time the screen flickers to life. You flip every system you can. Forced audio broadcast, on. Platform lighting, on. Security gate, open. Everything else stays locked. You shut the terminal down. The way forward is open. The platform access gates are open now. You head through the turnstiles and past a series of signs, platforms 1 and 2, and restrooms for men and women. You start with the men's room. Inside it's dark until a blinking red light brings the mirror to life. For just a second, something stares back. You don't talk about it, you just move on. You collect paper towels from the dispenser and stuff them down the drain. The faucet still works, barely. You turn it on. Water floods the sink and spills into the floor drain. In the side of the room, something floats up, a magnetic key card. Near it, your daughter's shoes, hanging, motionless. You don't say her name, you just take the shoes and move on. You enter the women's room next. 2 stalls, one open, one closed. There's a wire tied across the right stall, barely visible until you lean in. You cut it, quietly. A trap. You pick it up carefully. Anything else would have triggered the trap. You don't look back. Back on the platform, you follow a red-lit corridor deeper into the dark. No signs, no exits. You keep walking. Up the stairs, through the arch. You're standing on the tracks now. The light ahead is green, active. To the right, a signal box. Straight ahead, a tripwire across the rail. You cut the wire. It doesn't matter why. It's instinct. You use the key card to unlock the signal box. Inside's machinery, old, heavy, but still working. You install the fan belt you picked up earlier, then reroute the controls. If everything clicks into place, 2 green lights, right side of the panel. That means it worked. You step back into the tunnel. Nothing moves, but everything feels ready. You take the stairs to platform 2. You find the train waiting. The left doors are sealed tight, but the right one's not quite shut. You pry them open with the crowbar, or you can do it with your mind. Either way, they give. Inside, 4 smiling corpses stare back from the benches. They don't move, they just grin. You search the pair slumped against each other. A coin pouch slips from one of their hands. You move forward into the driver's compartment. Most of the controls are dead, all but one. Speed and braking. You press it. And just like that, the train lurches forward. The tunnel stretches for longer than you'd expect. Then a sound, not track noise, something else. The wall ahead is gone, caved in. You slam the emergency brake. The train groans, sparks, stops just in time. You step off and head left. There's a metal door set into the wall, marked by a strange glowing color-coded keypad, and a "Don't Walk" sign above it. You press the keypad, it flashes in a sequence. It's a memory test. 1 color, then 2, then 3, faster each time. If you mess it up, you fall. If you finish it, the sign changes. Walk. You go through the door. You're not alone. Hooks hang from the ceiling, body parts dangle. A headless corpse slumps at a table. At the far end, a man is sharpening a knife. You don't speak. You lift him with your mind, telekinesis, sharp and sudden. He curses you, fights, fails. You question him. He talks, spits, gives you what you need. You choose what happens next, spare him or end it. Either way, when it's over, destruction joins your list of powers. A black metallic door waits at the end of the room. You walk through. Lights flood the tunnel ahead. You step forward. You pass between 2 stone pillars. The sign says Hobbs Junction. A circled red R marks the left column. That's resistance. You move down the path. To your left, a large tree. Etched into the bark near the base, 7249. The numbers are burned in, permanent. You keep going. Fog rolls across the ground like it's hiding something. A guard paces an elevated walkway above. There's a dumpster to the left, a building to the right. You don't want to fight, you need to distract him. You open the furthest door on the dumpster and pull out a sandstone brick. You throw it, low, quiet, toward the walkway support. It lands with a thud. The guard turns just for a second, that's all you need. You drop a metal sheet and slip into the broken window behind it. Inside, a red button. You press it. An alarm blares. The guard bolts. You've moved past the walkway and reach a fortified door. Metal stakes line the frame, each one with notches. You remember the tree, 7249. You reset the stakes one by one. Each click echoes like it matters. When it's right, the door opens. Inside, pitch black. A single light bulb hangs from the ceiling. You pull the cord. The lights flicker on. We see a sign. Gas masks to be worn at all times. Too late. Gas pours from vents on either side. You choke, fall, black out. You wake up in front of your house, your real house, the one you haven't seen since all this began. The mailbox is still here. The front door creaks when you open it. 3 interior doors face you. The center one does nothing. You open the left. The room is cold and silent. 3 grids mark the space, one on the wall, one on the floor, and a third you can feel more than see. You examine the symbols. The arrow, it rotates, moves forward one step at a time, then again, then again. The circle falls into rhythm, down and across, then resets. You line them up, the room shudders, a symbol appears, scorched into the wall. A symbol appears, written in the language of the ancients. Offspring. The right room, lover. The crying draws you in. This room holds a circular puzzle. Layers of rotating rings, lines etched in steel, each one fractured. You spin the discs one at a time, trying to reconnect the threads, trying to make something whole again. It clicks, everything locks. Another tremor, another ancient symbol. Lover. You step back into the center hallway, then laughter. Not human. The walls shake, the floor splits. For a moment you see it, the truth beneath everything. Hell. Not metaphor, not myth, just waiting. The vision snaps shut, the room rebuilds itself. Same shape, different soul. At the center of the room, a mirror, or maybe a portrait, you're not sure. Inside it, a figure, half man, half memory. Eyes burned with knowledge, the reader. He speaks with Vlaew's power, twisted, absolute. He gave me the power to alter reality. You speak with him, ask what you can. He knows what you've seen, knows what you've lost. When the questions end, he gives you a choice, but it's not the only one.
She will be waiting for you, alive and well. And on your right is the entrance to the bedroom that you once shared with your wife, where she will also be waiting. It's as simple as that, Mr. Honey. Just make a choice. Your wife or your daughter.
You step closer, a set of curtains hangs nearby. You move them aside. The rod comes free, long, heavy, sharp at the end. You don't hesitate. You drive it through the reader. There's no scream, no struggle, just silence. The world flickers. When it returns, you're alone. A letter and a file sit in front of you. You read them, or you don't. To the right, a glass of water. You drink it, it helps. There's nothing else left. You look in the window, and you can teleport. You're back outside. It should feel like fresh air, but all you smell is death. Bodies rot in the distance. You step past them. Through a broken window, you spot keys hanging from the wall. Jeep keys. You pocket them. A map sits rolled on the table, a document too. You check it out. Maybe it matters, or maybe it doesn't. Not much matters anymore. You step back outside. On the ground, a sniper rifle. You pick it up. We take it and then take the Jeep. At the edge of the ruined compound, a bell tower overlooks the wasteland. In the distance, 2 guard towers. Movement between them, silhouettes pacing, rifles in hand. Hene raises the scope. They're armored, disciplined, not like the chaos of the streets. This is organized resistance. 2 clean shots drop them. You don't get a second chance here. Letting them live means watching your own back later. With the towers cleared, Hene slips through and reappears outside a quiet church. Inside, it's silent. Dust clings to everything. At the back wall, a heavy rope hangs beside an old bell hook. He pulls it. A hidden panel slides open overhead. Light floods through the window above, carving a perfect spotlight into the floor, and where the light lands, a door. It wasn't meant to be found, but now it's open. Downstairs, buried in the catacombs beneath the church, the crisp blade waits. Twisted, ancient. Only this weapon can break the seal to Vlaew's throne. Hene takes it. Stone walls surround a winding path. At the gate, A set of strange plaques await, symbols, circles, solid and hollow. It's a trial. Guess wrong and the gate stays shut. Guess right and the way forward opens. Behind the gate lies a corpse, slumped, forgotten, still clutching a block of C4. You take it. Another gate, this one guarded. You could blow it wide open or tear it down with your mind. Either way, when the dust settles, they're gone, and a pistol slides free of the wreckage. It's not elegant, but it works. More guards close in, 3 at first, and then 2 more on the stairwell. No time to think, no mercy left to give. Then the elevator descends, one final threat, and when it's done, Hane steps inside, still breathing, still standing, still climbing toward the throne. They call this place the Shadow Citadel. It rises out of the desert like a wound that never closed. They called this place the Shadowlands, a dead stretch of earth that never came back after Vlaew's arrival. Sniper towers dot the horizon, each one manned by corrupted soldiers, watchers, killers. You don't sneak into the Citadel. You survive your way to the front. The outer wall is stone, towering, ancient, and wrong. The architecture doesn't make sense. Angles bend where they shouldn't. Hallways twist like they're alive. Inside, it spirals up, through blood-stained air, past stairwells that feel like they were carved by something that hated light. The spires reach for the sky, but it's not hope they're chasing, not heaven, just power. And at the highest point, one final floor, it won't open without the crisp blade. But when it does, what waits on the other side is everything this war has been building toward. Vlaew, his throne, and the last stand of Joshua Hane.
I take it your inevitable death wasn't a suitable conclusion to our successful partnership. Indeed you are, soul bearer. And I can tell you have emerged a different man.
This isn't a war room, it's a monument, a throne built not for comfort, but for domination. And when he speaks, there's no malice in it, only certainty. He believes this is already over, but Hane doesn't. He answers not with words, but with force, a flick of will, a twist of power. And Vlaew is hurled through the window behind him like a broken idol. But it's not finished. Outside, through shattered stone and desert wind, Vlaew rises again, protected now by a shimmering shield, a force-filled humming with the stolen energy of ancient power. The sky darkens, stones rise, the battle begins. Hane tears at the shield, lifts the old god into the air, slams him back down, again and again and again. Vlaew retaliates, hurling the world itself like a weapon, but it's not enough. Each blow breaks the illusion. Each strike shatters another piece of the myth. Eventually, the tyrant crashes through another wall, weakened, crawling. This isn't a god anymore. This is a thing trying to survive. He tries to run, opens a portal, reaches for escape. But Hane doesn't let him go. He lifts him one last time, and Vlaew speaks. "Do what you came to do, human. Release me from this world forevermore." So Hane does. Vlaew dies not as a ruler, but as a relic.
From this world forevermore.
And when Hane steps through the portal, he doesn't return to Earth. He arrives somewhere else entirely. A world before memory, before man, before even beast, where giants roam and time has no name. Whatever comes next, it's older than evil, and maybe deeper than anything we're meant to see. Exmortis 3 is a different kind of horror. The first 2 games trapped you, claustrophobic, personal. One was a house, the other a descent into war. But this one cracks everything wide open. You're not hiding anymore. You're navigating the ruins of civilization, fighting through ash and memory across an entire city haunted not by ghosts, but what used to be alive. The scope is bigger, the mechanics are louder. You've got powers now, telekinesis, teleportation, perception. You're solving puzzles that span blocks, you're taking lives, and you're not just surviving anymore, you're pushing back. But here's the shift. As the world expands, the lore contracts. There's no locker diary, no slow journal unspooling into madness. What is here is quieter. It's embedded in the ruins. It's the flicker of lights across broken apartments and corpses that were still clinging to routine. In buildings locked up like someone thought they'd make it back. You don't read this story, you breathe it. That's why I'm telling this one a bit different than the last two. Not as exposition, but as aftermath. Not as document, but as place. Because in Exmortis 3, the horror doesn't live in a paragraph. It lives in the fact that there's no one left to write them. Mechanically, this is the most ambitious entry by far. Gone are the tight linear screens. In their place, a fractured city, open pathways, layered puzzles, a real-time movement between zones. You gain powers, you change, you shift from scavenger to something almost supernatural. And for the first time in the series, you get to decide who that power turns you into. There's a morality system running underneath it all, quiet but present, a tally of your choices, a question the game never asks directly but always implies. What kind of monster are you willing to become to end one? Combat is simple, but it's here. It exists to remind you that you're not helpless anymore, but you're still breakable. That's a very different kind of tension. The structure is loose, winding, more moments than chapters. It's a journey, less cleanly told than the last game, but held together by atmosphere alone. And that atmosphere, it's heavy, ashy, final. The lore isn't fed to you, it's something you infer. Something you piece together from objects, architecture, and the choices people made before they died. By the time you reach the throne room, you're not learning what happened, you're finishing it. Exmortis 3 doesn't aim for the same kind of horror as the games before it. It's not trying to isolate you, it's not trying to unravel your mind, it's trying to close the book. And that changes everything. Because this time you're not running, you're not questioning, you're not even surviving, you're ending something. And in that ending, in the silence that follows, there's final closure. These Exmortis videos have meant a lot, and seeing how much they've meant to all of you, that's been something else entirely. Every time someone commented that they were waiting for this one, every time someone shared their own memories, their own fear, their own moment of silence after the credits rolled, it reminded me of why I do this. So thank you, truly. For the support, the encouragement, the love, you've made these videos feel worth making. And if this one lands, if this final piece resonates the way the last ones did, then maybe there's one more story to tell. Not a playthrough or a breakdown, but a final descent into the lore itself. The full picture, the bloodline that binds all three games together. And if you want that, I'll do it. And I'll tell it the only way I know how.
Far greater than vengeance, I offer you the chance to have your family back.
And that's been Exmortis 3, a game about endings, about the cost of power, and about what's left behind when the world stops fighting. If you've been here since the first game, thank you for walking through all this with me, for trusting me to carry these stories, and for making this weird little horror trilogy feel seen. And if this is your first time in the vault, welcome. If you enjoyed the video, a like or a share goes a really long way. And if you want to see more forgotten horror games preserved, consider subbing. New videos drop every week, and there's always another room to explore. But until then, as always, I'll see y'all later.
Indeed you are so badass, and I can tell you have emerged a different man now. No longer are you the hesitant hero, nor are you the manipulated pawn in a larger game. You have intent, confidence, and clarity. You draw strength from your pain, and you have learned the value of a greater purpose.